Hello, ladies. Welcome to day 2. I am so stoked so far with all the engagement and participation from so many women in this group. And I just, first off, obviously wanted to say thank you for all your participation and continue to participate because that is the best way to get me to interact with you and get help on this journey that we're all on to find a healthy weight and achieve it. So that being said, I do want to get right into our content for today, which is what 5 core basic habits do you need to actually lose weight? So yesterday I talked about why habits were better than diets, and now I get to go into actually which habits are going to give you the stepping stones to actually lose weight, lose fat, very similar things, and really just find a healthy body weight and body that you love. So let's get right into it. The first habit, very basic here, is to stick to eating 3 to 4 meals per day. Now, for some of you, some of you probably are like, wow, that's easy. For some of you, you're probably like, whoa, I eat like so much during the day because I'm a snacker. And this habit really helps, first off, limit how much you're eating, because as shown by research, humans who eat, who have more meals a day tend to overeat. It's shown time and time again that when you are eating more, like the old myth of 6 meals a day, you tend to overeat because you never reach fullness, satiety. So eating 3 to 4 balanced meals per day. And what is a balanced meal? I did share that file all about balancing your plate. So make sure you check that out if you haven't. But that is habit number 1 that I actually already included in one of our challenges today to adopt, and some of you guys chose that one. So that is habit number 1. And habit number 2 is mastering your hunger cues. So hunger cues are something that a lot of us probably have no idea what they are. I know 4 or 5 years ago, I had no idea what a hunger cue was. I would just eat according to numbers, the calories my coach gave me, or to the meal plan that one of my coaches gave me as well. So mastering your hunger cues is another really important habit because it gives us the opportunity to actually listen to our body instead of reacting to, like, say, seeing a fast food place and just eating because it's there. I posted something on my Instagram story actually earlier today that had an analogy. It's like when our car needs gas and we see all these gas stations, we don't just stop and give it gas. We wait until it needs it, until we get the signal like, hey, you're almost out of gas. Same thing with our hunger cues. We shouldn't be reacting to the fact that there's food around us or cake in our fridge or driving past a fast food place. Mastering your hunger cues really makes you stop and think, am I really hungry right now? Am I just eating because I'm bored? Am I just eating because I'm stressed? And so forth. So that's habit number 2. Number 3 is eating just enough. This coincides with mastering your hunger cues, which is why I am doing these in order of actual importance, and when you do join my group program, in order of the habits that we actually go through. So we start with 1 and work our way down. But again, number 3 is eating just enough. You do have to know your hunger cues a little bit more to actually put this one into play. But really, it's just like when you have a plate in front of you and you're eating, are you just trying to be a part of the clean plate club, or are you actually eating to the point where you feel satisfied? You're not hitting that point of, I need to unbutton my pants, and you're also not hitting a point where you don't feel satisfied. That is what habit number 3 is all about. Habit number 4 is, I'd argue, very important. I have a hard time saying the most important just because they're all so important, but it is very important. It is eating primarily whole foods. I think a lot of people that counted macros and did keto and all those trendy diets, and I've done them too, it's no judgment on you, but we as a society in general have moved away from eating primarily whole foods, like foods that are grown and come from this earth versus all the chemically created ones. So eating primarily whole foods is a super important habit because naturally whole foods are not chemically created. They're not created to make us want more of them. They're created for us. Obviously, they're created from the earth. And when we eat them, we naturally become satiated, and we tend to eat less of those than we would, let's say, a bag of chips, because those bag of chips were legitimately created so that you'd eat all of them and then want another. So eating primarily whole foods, super important. And then the last one, indulgences. We have to master our indulgences. We have to be 100% aware of every single time we're indulging. And the definition of an indulgence is, in terms of food, is anything that's calorically dense and is not considered a whole food. So some people could say, I had fruit as my indulgence. Personally, I don't think that's an indulgence. That's just my own personal opinion. If you think it is, if you're overeating a ton of fruit, maybe. But naturally, an indulgence is something that's more calorically dense, like chips, like ice cream, like wine, etc. So the habit is being 100% aware of our indulgences and then knowing how to moderate our indulgences, because most of the time, as I said, these indulgences are chemically created so that we are, in a way, forced to want to eat more all the time. So knowing how to moderate our indulgences. So those are the basic habits that are the stepping stones to having a life of leanness at a healthy weight, feeling good about your body, and also just feeling good with your energy, etc. So why are these habits so important? Why do we master these core basic habits and always return to them when we start slipping up? We do this because these 5 habits are probably the best way to achieve satiety. They're the best way to still consider that calories matter, because when you are trying to lose weight and lose fat, calories in and calories out does matter. Yes, there are a ton of individual differences and some things come into play, but in the end, if you are eating too many calories, you will not see a change in your weight or losing fat. And then the reason, again, like I talked about yesterday, that these habits are so important is because they reduce the psychological stress that diets usually put upon you. So we go through the list of habits that I just mentioned, and you master one at a time so that you don't have any stress on you as you move into the next one, and you don't have the stress of, oh, I can't eat this, I can't have this. So the way that we really, because of course these habits don't include, you're probably thinking, what about protein? What about fat? What about, how do I actually make my meals? How do I do this? So the how behind these habits are really dietary factors that we have to pay attention to make sure that we can meet these habits, if that makes sense. So the dietary factors that go into that are really making sure that you're getting enough protein. So in your 3 to 4 balanced meals per day, making sure that each meal has some protein, making sure that you're building your meals with enough weight and volume to actually keep you full. That's another part that goes into habit 1. You have to make sure that you're getting enough protein, like I said, but also fat and carbs to make sure you're keeping your hormones in check. Make sure that you're supporting your glycogen stores, which is how you actually do everything, how your body digests food, how your body gets you to move a finger, do anything, how to get you to speak. So you need all of those macronutrients in order to actually function properly. And then also maintaining a healthy leptin sensitivity. This is just another fancy word for saying helping you keep your appetite at bay. So in order to maintain a healthy leptin sensitivity, that's where the eating whole foods and indulging in moderation comes into play, because your appetite can be skewed based off how many indulgences you have, and then also based off of how much whole food you're actually eating. Your appetite is skewed in the positive direction, like, yay, we're not hungry at all times when we're eating mostly whole foods. And then when you're eating mostly indulgences, your appetite tends to be rampant, because first off, you're not balancing your meals, you're not getting all the macronutrients and micronutrients you need, so your appetite tends to skyrocket. And then the last one that also is super important for satiety is staying hydrated. So staying hydrated, everyone knows they should be drinking water, but they probably don't know that your fluid intake is, a total of all of the liquids that you're drinking. So even if it's coffee, even if it's tea, that still counts as your fluid intake, That being said, I don't want you to drown yourself in Diet Coke. You definitely should still be cognizant that I would prefer around 64 ounces of your fluid intake coming from water. But hydration is key for satiety and really just to obviously detox ourselves naturally, because that is how we detox, is water. So those are the 5 habits, and then along with those habits are those dietary factors that I just went through: protein, fats, carbs, balancing your meals with larger size and volume so you keep full, staying hydrated, maintaining your healthy leptin sensitivity. Those are the dietary factors that go with those habits so that you can actually complete those habits, if that makes sense. So that is pretty much what you need to know. Those habits, those 5 basic habits, will promote a life of leanness as long as you stick to them. Now, that's kind of the hardest part, is being consistent. So obviously that is what we're going to get into the last 3 days of this challenge, is the more of the mindset stuff, and more of how you can actually put these habits into your life and keep them going and not fall off like we tend to do more often than not. So hopefully that taught you something about those habits. Make sure you leave me a comment below if you watch this. Leave me any questions, and I will chat with you ladies soon.